Welcome to the Nebraska Hawk's Nest. These guys are brave. They're Hawkeyes, living in enemy territory. Listen, these guys are way past their prime, but they're still Hawkeyes. They're spreading the Hawkeye hype to all of Nebraska. The frost advisory is canceled. Cornhuskers, more like corn suckers. Are you ready for this podcast? Let's go Hawks!
All right, welcome back to the Nebraska Hawk's Nest. Make sure to give us a like, maybe a subscribe, so you can get all the latest updates on our Iowa Hawkeye legend interviews. Other than my co-pilot, Jerry, today we are joined by Iowa Hawkeye great Tevaun Smith. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. How are you guys doing?
No, we're doing pretty great. We're excited to have you on and for you to catch us up on what you're up to right now. One of our favorite Iowa Hawkeye receivers of all time. Where are you at right now? Where are you living? And what's going on with you right now?
Right now, I am in Florida. I'm in the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area training with another Hawkeye, actually, Greg Maiden. So we're just out here training and, just trying to stay in shape.
All right. Are you guys, how many days a week are you guys training? Like, is it like a 5 on, 2 off? Are you going 7 days a week?
We pretty much go 5 days a week, whether it's training or going on the field or getting treatment. So pretty much every day.
All right, awesome. We're gonna start out with your recruitment process at a high school. From all the research that I've done and looked at, it sounds like UConn was pretty heavy on you and really wanting to sign you and have you become a Husky. What was it about Iowa that made you eventually decide to become a Hawkeye? And what were some of the other schools that you were really strongly considering, and how did that recruitment go?
Yeah, I mean, for me, UConn was definitely number one priority at the time. It was close. I went to school. The high school I went to was Kent in Connecticut, so they were able to come to a few games and practices. And my other offers were Temple, University of Miami, and of course Iowa. But the one thing that stuck out of all the schools was the longevity of the coaches. Now looking back at it, UConn at the time, I believe, was Coach Pasqualoni. He ended up leaving, getting fired. Temple, Coach, I believe, Adazio, he was no longer there, went to Boston College. And then University of Miami, Al Golden ended up getting fired as well and was no longer there. And Iowa's coach, of course, Kirk Ferentz, is still there now. So, I'm happy I went with that decision. And picking my school, and that was the most important thing for me. And of course, everything was just a bonus. The facilities, the people, obviously just the college town. Fell in love with it from my visit. So all that stuff was a bonus, but the main thing was just the longevity of the coaches.
So Tevaun, tell us about where you where you went to high school and where your hometown is from. I mean, you weren't exactly kind of in the normal recruiting hotbed, I don't think. From where a lot of players come from. So tell us about your background.
Yeah, I'm originally from Toronto, Canada, and my dream was to always play D1 football. My dream school was, at the time, we were just so close to each other, was Michigan State. We was only 4 hours away from home, and that they play a lot of Michigan State games in Toronto. So for me, growing up, I went to school called Chaminade. It was an all-boys school. I actually, before that, I went to a school called Central Tech. Was one of those highly profiled like football schools at the time. But when I got there, I think I kind of missed that wave of like the good football program. So I ended up transferring after it wasn't the best situation for me. Getting in a little bit of trouble. So I went to the all boys school. Ended up working out. Met great people there. Had a great mentor, my football coach, and he was sending out film to a bunch of schools. So for me was I ended up getting into Kent school and able to play football there, and that's when a man named Kirk Hearn flew out to Kent, Connecticut to visit me. And yeah, the rest is history, I guess.
All right. Jerry just got a new chair. That thing is creaky as hell. I can hear you. Is that your new chair, Jerry?
No, that's the old chair, actually. So
we need to switch that thing out. I keep hearing like it's a haunted house. Like,
actually, at my age, that's just my knees at my age. That's not the chairs.
I'm like trying not to laugh the whole time he's talking. I keep going. So after you had some time in the NFL with like the Colts, the Jags, and the Raiders, moving on to the CFL. Tell us about what that transition was like and what it's been like playing in the NFL. Because I believe you signed a 2-year deal to play there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, I grew up going to CFL games, of course, and but the one thing, like I said, my goal was to play D1 football, and then my of course the NFL. So in high school, I don't know if you guys are too familiar with the CFL, is that we have like a 10-yard head start. And for me, when I was in high school, I told my coach that I didn't want to do that. I want to be on the outside. I don't want to move. I don't plan on playing in Canada or whatever. So I ended up, playing on the outside, not having the motion at all. Thank God, because I didn't end up motioning like when I was at Iowa, leaving to go play football in Connecticut. And then obviously had a chance to go into NFL. But now that I had the chance to go back to the CFL, I was like, damn, I have no experience of running off the ball. So that was kind of a shocker for me. But I'd say it has been a great experience, and I've learned from a lot of great football players and CFL players that I've not only grew up with or grew up watching. I was able to kind of meet them, kind of learn from at least a lot of the guys that are known to be one of the best in the CFL as well. So yeah, like I said, coming out of high school, I was recruited by almost every high school in Canada, so I was able to meet a lot of those guys in the CFL, and of course, even with being in the NFL for a little bit and going to Iowa, I was able to kind of meet other high profile CFL athletes that I was able to learn from as well. So for me, it's been a I would say a smooth transition because of the people that I've ended up becoming friends with and learning from, and it's, like I said, it's been a great experience so far.
So if you were to sign with an NFL team, are they obligated? Like, is it written in your contract they have to let you go, or is there going to be an issue there with you being under contract?
Well, in some cases you can ask for a release. In other cases, they just pretty much have your rights. Just depending on your situation, your contract. I know, like you said before, I signed a 2-year deal, but I had this call a 1+1. So after my first year, if there was any sort of interest from the NFL, I had the option to either sign the contract for the following year or not sign it and see my options.
Okay.
I decided to stay going into that second year, but I was able to also have that option. If I did sign, I'll be able to maybe ask for a release or whatnot. So they don't they don't really hold you down into your contract if the NFL team wants to sign you, which is good.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And wanting to know like the full kind of scope of the Canadian experience, do you get like an apartment when you're up there? Is it just kind of a temporary thing and then you come back to the States? And how difficult was it to learn Canadian?
Well, for me, like I said, it wasn't to learn to Canadian.
I'm sorry. I was thinking language. That's why I couldn't.
No, that was my joke. I was like, so how long did it take you to learn Canadian?
Well, for me, it wasn't too hard because, of course, I'm from there. But you're gonna have to ask me a question again because I totally forgot now.
Like, did you get like do you get like an apartment when you're up there staying, or
Right,
like do you
right, yeah. So when I got out there, obviously training camp, we stay in a hotel, and then I eventually got a little an apartment, a condo, and stayed there for 6 months. And then it's kind of pretty much what everybody else does in the NFL. You kind of get paid for the season, then you leave. I didn't plan on staying in Edmonton where I play. It's a beautiful city, but I mean Toronto I feel is a better city.
yeah.
And of course, I'm always out in the U.S. because obviously I went to high school out here a little bit, and of course college, and I have a bunch of friends and out here, and training is. I've created I've built a good team around me of guys that I train with. So yeah, that's kind of how I was out there. Just me staying out there for 6 months and then leaving.
What would you say culturally is the biggest difference between living in the States and living in Canada?
I wouldn't say there's a huge difference. I will say that it's really cold out there.
Yeah.
I also wasn't able to experience other places in Canada until I got to the CFL. So
Okay.
there's a couple places that I've never been before. I've never really been outside of Toronto. I've been pretty much everywhere in the U.S., but in Canada, I haven't been to Vancouver before. I never went to Montreal before. I never got to see beautiful places in Calgary, a place called Banff, which is beautiful. So like I said, it's been a fun experience so far. So
Well, before Adam asks you how long it took you to quit saying "a" after every sentence when you moved to Iowa City, let's move on here. So,
hey, it was
I'm
quick. It was
fascinated.
quick.
I'm fascinated by the Canadian life.
so
Definitely.
going back to when you started at Iowa, you had this electric way. You to me, you were the master of the one-handed catch, and you could make catches in traffic one-handed. You could. It was just like you had claws on that. Was that something you always had, or was that hard work that you had to develop that, or take us into a practice of a receiver, and did it just come natural, or what did you have to do to become the guy that could go into a crowd
I
and just
will.
grab it?
I will say that when I first got to Iowa, there was a lot of guys that did a lot of extra stuff on the side, and I kind of migrated towards that. Cavante Martin Manley was one of them, one of the guys that I definitely look up to, and he's one of those guys that was always, like, hey, let's catch after practice. Hey, come to my house. We're gonna catch 100 balls, catch 200 balls. So during that time while he was there, I was able to kind of, fall into that routine. So for me, I'd say that that would definitely help me, and it definitely became second nature catching the football. And then we started practicing catching with one hand, and doing all that fun stuff as well. So I would say, that was definitely one thing that helped me along the way while I was there, and it still carries on now. Catching the football every now and not every now and then, all the time. Just making sure the football's always close to you.
What's Cavante Martin Manley up to now? We haven't heard a lot from him. I know he was starting that 2-Star clothing brand, and then I haven't heard a lot about it since. What's he up to now?
Oh, I know he's working. I know he was training a little bit. I believe I actually don't know exactly where he's living now, but he's doing really well. Last time I spoke with him, he's doing really well. Um, has a little family, has a daughter now, so he's doing well. And we talk every now and then. It's kind of hard to keep up with all these guys, especially when they start having kids, right? They get real busy. So
Yeah, we know that. We know how that goes.
yeah.
So go back early in your career, then going back to the one-handed catches here. Now I'm to one-handed catches what Adam is to Canada, but anyway, that Northern Iowa game, really it's a highlight reel catch. Still, you're in the corner of the end zone. You pull it down one-handed as you go in from, I believe Rudick was the quarterback. All this repetition, all this practice goes into that. What was that feeling to pull that off? And just I guess to have that highlight.
I mean, I guess for me, it's kind of funny because looking like at the time, I don't know if you guys remember. I think it was literally a play before or two plays before that was the play where I kind of reversed the field,
Mhm.
and I was dead tired, and and as soon as I after that I came out for one play. I was sipping wine. They were looking for me to get back in. They're like, "Are you ready to go?" And I just looked at them like, yeah, but I wasn't ready to go, and that play was for me, and I was dead tired, which is why I pretty much was too lazy to catch it with two hands because I was just so I felt so weak because he
Mhm.
was holding my left hand, but I just didn't have the strength at the time because I was just so tired, so I just threw my right hand out there. So that's kind of story behind that. But I mean, the fact that I came down with it, I was super happy about it. Thank God we know we practice that kind of stuff like for fun. So to actually come down with it was definitely a good feeling.
All right, Tevaun, I want you to dig deep in your mind here. You get to choose two of your teammates at Iowa. You're going to go out in Iowa City, and you can only pick two of your teammates to go out. What two teammates are you picking, and where are you going
Mm.
on a
So pick
Friday
two
night?
teammates.
Yep, two of your
Okay,
teammates.
two of my teammates that I got to pick to go out
Yep,
in
on a
Iowa
Friday
City
night
or just anywhere.
in Iowa City on a Friday night.
If you want to have a good time, and I have to pick one or two people. I would say Jordan Lomax
Okay.
Okay.
and probably George Kittle.
Yeah. All right. All
I
right. Where are you
I,
going to take these guys?
Mm. I mean, the question is where they're gonna take me.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
those guys definitely are two guys that know the places. They know all the spots. Um, I will say, it's funny because I've been to places with Lomax, but have ran into Kittle every now and then in the same places. So they have common interests.
Well, we really want to dig into this 2015 season. It was a pretty special year. Really, if you can dig deep and walk us through the progression of that season and your guys' really just refuse to lose mentality, making it through going 12-0 all the way into the Big
hmm
Ten championship. Walk us through what it was like playing on that team and just the camaraderie that you guys had.
I'd say, I mean, with that team, it was pretty much um, everybody that we came in with. So we had a very strong class. Like a lot of guys that came there ended up staying there. Sometimes you have a lot of guys commit and they'll be there for maybe a year or two, but obviously it doesn't work out for them and they end up transferring. I noticed that there's a picture of all the seniors in front at the Big Ten championship game, and there's a bunch of us up there as captains, and that's pretty much all the guys that we came in with. And I think that was the biggest thing with with that team is that we had a lot of guys that's been there, that been through it all, and was able to, of course, be a part of a great team because yeah, like I said, the camaraderie and the leaders on that team, I think that was a huge factor into why we went undefeated that season.
Going back to before the season, even coming into it, Tevaun, it was the quarterback battle between Jake Rudick and CJ Beathard. As a receiver, and with that going on, did that kind of put you in the middle of things? Was there a lot of uncertainty on your part, or how was it for you going through that transition in that quarterback battle?
Um, Honestly, for me, I mean, I was fine with either quarterback. They're both great. They're both great guys at the time. So I mean, the thing is, obviously, from the outside looking in, you see them on game day, but they pretty much split reps throughout practice anyway. So whoever we were with that week, that's who we were going with that game. So for me, it was just whoever we're practicing with is whoever we're playing with, and I'm with wherever. I mean, I'm a receiver. My job is to catch, and whoever's job is to throw that's not my place. So I mean, whatever, and that goes in any. I mean, even right now, I mean, we have our quarterbacks, but one quarterback goes down, you have to work with the other one. So at this point, it's just it's not like I said. The coaches do what they do, and I do what I have to do. So for me, it wasn't really
Sure.
a big issue. I was fine with Jake, and I was fine with CJ. So.
Okay.
No, I'm glad you asked that, Jerry. That was a really good question. I totally get where you're coming from there, Tevaun. You got to just roll with it, and that's the best mindset to have, because if the guy that you really want doesn't get the job, that's going to screw you all up. And so you just got to make the best of it. And that's the way it is. What if a guy goes down with an injury? Then you're going to have to roll on to the next guy. So that's a great mindset to have. I got I message out here to the guys out in the production van here. We're gonna queue up some footage here, and I gotta lay it down for the guys, that everyone that's listening on the podcast. One of the best moments of my life, and Jerry's as well, in the Big Ten championship in 2015. I think that you guys, your play caused structural damage to Lucas Oil Stadium with that place. I've never felt like a roof was legitimately going to blow off a place until after we saw this place. So we're gonna run this clip real quick. Hopefully it runs smooth. If not, hey, we remember it because we watched it 1,000 times, and then we want you to kind of walk us through afterwards what you were thinking, how that play broke down.
Okay. Yeah.
Play fake. Beathard sets up deep in the pocket. Goes down the field for Smith. Oh! He caught it! Smith! Touchdown! 85 yards! Iowa! C.J. Beathard!
They send Vandenberg right at the safety, and as soon as he bites, there he goes. And the middle of the field is wide open. What a throw from C.J. Beathard.
Man, that gets me fired up just watching that all over again. That was freaking awesome. All right, I'm going to shut up now, and you walk us through that.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that play happened. Was that early in the third or early in the fourth? I think it was like the first play, like the
fourth quarter.
The beginning of the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
first play of the fourth.
Yeah, and we were talking about being able to beat them deep, like almost the whole entire game. And we talked about on the sideline, and like, hey, can we beat them deep? And be like, yeah, I mean, of course, we definitely can. And we finally did it. And of course, that play worked out, and brought us back into the game, of course. And unfortunately, I know everybody is still hurt about it. Of course, I am too. But you win some, you lose some.
So what goes through your mind on that catch then? Because you look up, you see, I mean, was it just all to you the entire way, or was there any other options? Or I was going to say, when that's in the air, I mean, are you just going through like we were talking about the catches? Are you just going through the practice mode? Or, I mean, are you thinking, oh, crap, he just threw me the ball? Or, I mean, what's going through your mind?
I mean, honestly, for me, it was just run. He has an arm. So for me, it was just make sure you just run as fast as you can, just go as deep as you can, and CJ's gonna get it there. And that was my main thing. And then catching the ball was just, I guess, it's just focus. I mean, and I guess it was our first time playing indoors as well. So I mean, there's a lot of lights and a lot of stuff going on. And to be honest, I didn't even hear how loud the crowd was at the time, because I was just so locked in until I heard, like, obviously in the game, after the game. The highlights. So definitely, a huge play. So
you couldn't hear the crowd. Could you hear Gus Johnson? I think he yelled so loud on the TV that you probably heard him a few blocks down the street.
I gotta say, like, I love Gus Johnson, but when he calls that Big Ten championship game, that guy yells so much. And I even tweeted, I'm like, Gus, you're gonna have a heart attack, man. Like, dial it down a notch. He's just screaming. But for some odd reason, when I watch that highlight, it doesn't bother me at all. I think it just pisses me off when he's calling somebody else's game. And like you talked about, that it sucked losing that game, but as fans, like, we couldn't have been more proud of you guys. And that's why every Hawkeye fan stayed and gave you guys a round of applause when you guys went off the field, because you guys fought like hell and you guys played your butts off. And as diehard Hawkeye fans our whole life, you don't want to lose ever, but you couldn't have been more proud of our team and the way that you guys fought.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it came down to the wire. And to this day, I mean, I think it's probably one of the best games I've been a part of, just because it was from beginning to end. Like typical Big Ten football all the way down to the end, ground and pound. So I mean, I definitely had a great time in that game. And of course, yeah, like I said, we win some, you lose some, but I would definitely put that on one of the top games I've been a part of.
So going into the preparation then for the Rose Bowl after that, was there any great stories when you guys, leading up to the game when you're in California, anything behind the scenes, or what was your favorite part of the experience of going out to the Rose Bowl?
I would say we actually, when we did go to the Rose Bowl, we were able to go to a Lakers game courtside. It was
Nice.
like maybe about 4 of us able to go because a teammate, obviously, Anthony Gear, he's obviously an ex-Hawkeye as well. His best friend is Julius Randle. They went to high school together. So we were able to go to a game, and that was probably one of the highlights of being in LA, staying right across the street from the Staples Center, and being able to be a part of a Lakers game, and rest in peace to Kobe Bryant, but that was like his last year, so they were doing all the tributes and all that stuff, like for his last go round. So we got to experience that, of course, and I'd say that's definitely something that I can definitely tell my kids later on in life.
No, that's cool. I was able to go. I sat in the third row back at a Clippers game, and just to sit there, I was like, man, it was awesome. You see some characters, especially at the Staples Center, like, growing up in Iowa, and I've lived in Kansas City and some other Midwest cities, but you haven't seen people till you've gone to Los Angeles. There is there's some characters there. Then I look over and Billy Crystal is sitting right across the way. I was like, wow, so that was that's pretty cool and pretty surreal. Take us through the actual game experience playing Stanford. We ran into the wall that is Christian McCaffrey. The man's a machine, and just pretty much shredded us. And I felt like as Hawkeye fans, and I'm sure you guys did as too, our defense is always stout, and it was shocking to all of us that we especially with that time to prepare, we stop everybody, and nobody is able to go off on us like that. I think that's a testament to his talent, and that he was probably robbed of the Heisman Trophy that year. Walk us through that game and how that developed and how tough that was.
I mean, of course, I'm sure it was tough for you guys to watch and tough for other fans to watch, and just imagine how it felt for us to be on the field and experiencing that as well, But I will say that I was actually just talking about this maybe about a week ago, and I've never seen or been a part of a game like we were literally a part of history that game, just because Christian McCaffrey literally did everything. And like you said, it goes to show how talented the man is, and he's still talented to this day. He's doing really well for himself. He's having a really great career, and good for him. And I mean, that the game itself, obviously, is a game that you really don't want to be on the other end of. But like I said, it was an experience and I'm sure it was a good experience for a lot of guys, and it definitely put a chip on a lot of guys' shoulders. For us, we at the time we only lost one game, so like I said, for the program, I think it was good to, kind of let us know that you can be beat no matter what your record is. So that's one thing that I took out of that game, that we're definitely beatable. I mean, Michigan State was close. We almost won the game, but we can still get our butts kicked by any team in the country. So,
well, and Stanford had a little bit of an axe to grind, I think, that year too, because they were part of the national championship talk until late in the season, and I'm sure that got them up as well. So,
of course,
but their band was the worst. I hate that band. I don't know if you heard about that, Tevaun, but their whole entire halftime show is like making fun of the people of Iowa about how we're a bunch of redneck hicks, and like how
I
like
think I heard of it, but I never got to physically watch. I never got to actually watch it. So
Wasn't there some sort of a reference to FarmersOnly.com during their halftime show or something like that?
Yes, and saying that we were all inbred and like we don't have any teeth and all this stuff. I'm like, and then afterwards, I looked up stuff about their fan base or about their band, and like they've been permanently banned from like a lot of stadiums around the country because that's kind of what they do. And I'm like, man, that kind of pissed me off when I was watching it, but it's kind of cool. Like I kind of like it. Like if a band's put on a halftime show like that, I'm not going to get another drink or go to the bathroom. I'm going to watch that.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Adam,
ahead,
it's
Jerry.
probably a good time. We've got our new segment, the kid question of the day. If you want to go ahead and handle that, something we've been integrating. So
you just read my mind. That's exactly where I was going next.
Great
Jerry.
partnership.
That's chemistry right there. All right. So Tevaun, we got a new segment coming up. It's our kid question of the day. We reach out to some kid Hawkeye fans and they ask us a question that they want you to answer for them. And this one's brought to you by Meyer Electric in Pomeroy, Iowa, with shockingly good service for over 73 years. Meyer Electric. All right. So the kid question of the day, it's a little two-part question. What is your favorite pregame snack? And if you could be any superhero, Marvel or DC, who would you be?
Okay, my favorite pregame snack, I will say, is probably a nice omelet in the morning.
You're fancy.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say we were a little bit spoiled at Iowa. So in the mornings, we had like an omelet station.
Wow!
So we were able to get omelets in the morning. And then there was some steak there too, but I would say the omelet was definitely one thing that I like to have, and then of course the night before we had ice cream, kind of unwind at night. So I'd say that was another thing too that I liked. But
nice.
My favorite, the one superhero, if I can be one superhero, I would say Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. All right.
Yes,
all right. Are
absolutely.
you the traditional Spider-Man, or are you rocking the black suit? I'm a fan of the black suit. I think that's by far the coolest one.
I'm a fan of the black suit too. I think I am a fan of the black suit too. At night, I don't. When you're in the black, you can't be seen.
Oh, it's so badass. That's by far my favorite.
Well, full disclosure, these really aren't kid questions. Adam just lays awake at night wondering these things. So
I do with my Marvel superhero toys.
Yeah, he was so happy about the black Spider-Man.
Yeah. He wears the pajamas at night. So
hey, don't hate them. They're comfortable, man. They're awesome. So we wanted to ask you too, and we put a little feeler out there. We like to ask all former players if you had any funny or interesting stories from like the locker room or weight room, anything that you look back on now and you're like, man, that was crazy. That was really, hilarious, that the average fan, like say like Jerry or myself, that we wouldn't know anything about.
I'm not gonna say any names, but I will say that there was a few guys that talked a lot in the locker room, and we scheduled a boxing match, and I won't say who won.
A boxing match?
Fun to watch. Yes, we would have them box in the locker room.
Wow.
And obviously for fun, not serious.
Yeah.
But it was definitely fun to watch. One of them would definitely say that he can like box anybody in the locker room. So there was one guy that was saying, you can, okay, what about me? And he's like, yeah. And so we did a few of those, which was very fun to watch, and yeah. But like I said, whoever it is, they know who won, and whoever lost, they know who it was.
I love it. That's awesome.
So with Kittle as your teammate, was there any pro wrestling in the locker room as well, or was it all just strictly boxing?
Yeah, was he that wild in college, or did this just like start happening as a pro?
I'd say that Kittle was always Kittle. It's just he's just able to, be more Kittle now,
Okay.
which is great.
Okay.
Which is great to see. He's always been that guy in the locker room. He's always been funny, goofy, and very very open. So to myself, and I'm sure to everybody else, is no surprise to how he is now.
Awesome. Well,
He's definitely
Tevaun,
one of the guys that we all love in the locker room. So, I mean, it's good to see that he's, still everybody loves him now. So, like I said, no surprise. Great dude.
Yeah.
Well, don't be getting in any boxing matches in a CFL locker room. We got to keep those hands healthy for catching touchdowns.
Hey, I know. I do have a pair in my locker. I will say that.
Really? All right.
Yeah, I do. Just play around, we kind of, okay, who wants to box today?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Well, all right. So beyond boxing, we got to do one more thing. To Iowa fans, it's your signature move, but we got to have a Tevaun dab before you get out of here, like you did in the Michigan State end zone. Can we get a Tevaun dab out of here?
Oh, one of these?
Yeah, where you right after Michigan State. That's as well known as the play, I think. So.
Oh, yeah. You know how many kids across the state of Iowa were doing that after you did that every time they caught a football?
Every single time.
Oh, yeah. Every single time they're doing the Tevaun. Like, I know a lot of kids that called it a Tevaun Smith. They didn't even call it a dab. Like, that was, it was renamed for a lot of kids after you did that.
Wow. I wish I knew that. That would have been cool, man.
Oh, it's awesome. Dude, thank you so much for, all the memories you created for Hawkeye fans over the years. And, again, all your amazing catches and the catch in the Big Ten championship that created so much joy and so many awesome memories for all those diehard Hawkeye fans. We're continually watching and rooting for you back here in the Midwest, hoping that you get another shot in the NFL. And if not, man, we hope you just shred it up in the CFL like crazy and set some records.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you guys having me, and it was a lot of fun hopping on here with you guys.
And tell them to improve their coverage down here in the States. I mean, I don't know if they can't translate from Canadian, as Adam would say, but we'd love to get some more CFL down here so that we can keep up with you.
Hey,
so do what you can about that, would you?
I'm gonna try my best.
All right. Hey, when you sign your first maple syrup endorsement, you give us a call and come on. We're going to talk all about it. Okay, man?
I got you.
All right.
All right, Tevaun. Best of luck in the future. We really appreciate you coming on. It was an honor. And we always end it with a Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Yeah, baby.
Thanks, Tevaun.
Got a little tattoo right here.